I have nephrotic syndrome.
My son has nephrotic syndrome.
She was diagnosed with nephrotic syndrome.
I have nephrotic syndrome.
The symptoms of nephrotic syndrome are usually swelling.
My neck was very swollen.
Having swelling out of the eyes, and then she kept having her legs swollen.
My son woke up one morning and he had swelling round his neck.
And we thought she'd been putting weight on, but the doctor that saw her said it was actually fluid in her legs.
I was like a frog. It was out here, it was horrible.
The consultants came up that works for Professor Salim and explained what they thought the symptoms related to.
The doctor said nothing there.
The GP put it down to her allergies because it was the summer months.
I haven't seen this before, I haven't seen this puffiness around the eyes before.
Nephrotic syndrome can be quite a silent disease, and eventually it often presents, particularly in children, with swelling. They're losing the protein from their bloodstream into the urine, and therefore that causes a leak of fluid into their tissue space, which is where the swelling happens.
After I got the diagnosis at the GP, he sent me up to Yeovil District Hospital.
When they explained exactly what the diagnosis was and what it meant, certainly said the first 12 months would be very difficult, and there was a chance that Leah wouldn't make the first 12 months.
And the fact that you were told that there wasn't a cure, just a trial of drugs of hoping for the best.
You were in hospital for a good few days and put on steroids straight away.
And when you're there faced with the consultant, you all have many questions running through your head.
Some patients can get remission of the disease, so the disease gets better either with treatment or sometimes spontaneously.
And they said it would need to be a transplant. They said they would typically go and look at kind of family donors.
4 a.m. in the morning I get a phone call to say there's a kidney here.
Wheeled me back into the theatre, they gave me my anaesthetic, and then my transplant started.
Some patients have nephrotic syndrome, which is much more difficult to control. They need a lot of therapies over months or years, and a lot of those therapies can be unsuccessful in time, and eventually these patients will get kidney failure, needing transplantation.
Dave was transplanted in 2005. And we'd hoped that was going to be a new life for David. That he wouldn't be having to have plasma exchange. But unfortunately, he had reoccurrence happen in his new kidney.
I had a transplant that failed straight away. And it was the best match, one of the best matches you could ever get. Wasn't a live donor, but it was good enough, and that sadly didn't work.
And he's had his transplant now for nearly 13 years, but we've noticed recently his blood results are not so good, so possibly he may lose that transplant in the next coming few years. Then he'd have to be transplanted again.
Being given this and your body's like, no. Your body's like, no, I don't want a chance to get better. We thought this was the bit that was going to turn us around, to get better. Everything would just get better, but no.
This is what's so cruel about nephrotic syndrome, because transplant is not always the answer. For some it will work and it will stop the nephrotic syndrome, but with others it will just carry on. And that's what's happened to my son. And that's what my biggest hope is, that with the research they'll be able to find out not only what causes nephrotic syndrome, but also how to stop it.
So the research that we do specifically focuses on the target cell of nephrotic syndrome, which is a cell within the kidney, a very specialised cell, which is called the podocyte. And this is the cell that acts as the main filtering cell in the body. So it filters, usually when it's healthy, it stops proteins leaking into the urine. We are world experts in looking at the podocyte and its biology and how it works. So we've developed techniques over the years to look at podocytes in a dish, to look at them in more sophisticated three-dimensional structures, to work out how the podocyte works and what happens when it goes wrong, and therefore ultimately how you can reverse those changes and use treatments and new therapies to directly rescue the damage that's been done to the podocyte.
One of my friends pointed me out to Nest.
Definitely my family, and also Nest. Without Nest, we would have no idea what we're doing. We met Wendy, head of the Nest. She's lovely.
And I messaged through to Wendy, one of the ladies at Nest, and we were able to put through via Facebook, like a group of parents and children that has been dealing with it around the same time as when we got diagnosed, or people that have gone through it for years now.
The support of the staff at the hospital and families. I think the nurses on Ward 37 are amazing.
The love and support of all my friends and my family, especially my daughter. She's been very strong and supportive to me.
And through Nest, we've also met other people with nephrotic syndrome, but have it in a slightly different phase than what I have, and become friends with them as well. And it's been really good, Nest.
We've met a lot of lovely parents who are also going through similar things, and so in its own way, it's like another little support group of people that you don't really know, but you know through a kind of common aspect, which is obviously your child's kind of diagnosis.
Wendy and her team and the other parents has just been really amazing, and it encourages you.
Other parents whose children have got the same condition, the community within Nephrotic Syndrome Trust has been particularly comforting, knowing that I've got that support there.